Well, I do have something I want to bring up. You
Yeah.
said it on Big Brother for those that didn't get to watch that. You said that, and it was very interesting. We had a president before that was supposedly this really cool, up to date on all the cool stuff, but yet he didn't utilize Twitter as well as Donald Trump has. And you brought this up and you explained it how he figured it out. And I love for you to share that because as much as we hate it or love what he tweets, he knows what he's doing.
Well, what I was trying to say to my fellow housemates on Big Brother, this was a 70-year-old guy that was using Twitter better than my 17-year-old son. And
right.
So what he had figured out, and I use this example, if he has 50 million Twitter followers, and the New York Times is read by 2.5 million people, and Wall Street Journal's read by 2.5 million people, think about the president's Twitter feed.
Right.
It's 10 times the combination of the New York Times and Wall Street Journal readership. The other thing he figured out is that just with 140 characters or less, or now
280 now, yeah.
Yeah, 280, he could beam into CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, even local news.
Every day.
The president figured out that, forget about the 3 or 4 cable news channels, most Americans are still getting their news from the local news. So the president was sending out tweets earlier in the day so that his tweets could get officially up on the local news, that 6 p.m. local news in your area. And so what he was able to do is jump over all of the media apparatus and beam directly to the American people. Now, some of those tweets were nasty and ad hominem attacks.
A lot of them were.
I would argue some of them were unstrategic, and certainly some of them as president have been unstrategic.
Yeah.
But you cannot argue with the president when he says, well, I would not have become president but for this Twitter feed. Because I really do think that catapulted him in a way that he was able to think about this. He was outspent 2-1. He was outmanned 2.3-1 from the Clinton campaign. And he still beat her. And so he was using things like Twitter and the forces of social media in a way that she wasn't. Moreover, he got, I don't know, I can't remember the number anymore, but it was like about $50 or $60 million from grassroots people over Facebook. They were writing him $61 per person checks, if you will, or charges on their credit cards to help him become president.
I was convinced
nothing like that,
I was convinced that once he was elected and once he was in, that they, and I do not know who they are, were going to yank that phone, and he was never going to see Twitter again until the day he left office. I didn't think they would let him continue to do it, whoever the powers that be are that try to govern that part of him.
Well, I mean, we all had conversations with him related to it, but I would say in the beginning he was inclined to do it. But then when the press, in his mind, when the press became so decidedly negative and so nasty towards him, that he sort of stopped.
Well, I think he'd been used to having his butt kissed so long with The Apprentice and all that and all the various other things. He's right. They kissed his ass for a long time. And then once it was evident that he had a serious opportunity to become president, they turned on him pretty strongly. And
I would
use one thing and getting another.
Let me bolster your argument, Kenny.
Okay.
They not only kissed his butt for a long period of time when he ran for president, because they thought it was a joke candidacy.
And he did.
They gave him a tremendous amount of press, and they gave him sweeping coverage.
Yes.
It was only when they were like, wait, oh my God, he might be president. That they turned like a velociraptor on him.
Yeah. But, it was vicious.
They were pumping him up in the beginning because they thought it was a joke candidacy.
I see you on Morning Joe. Have you ever done Scarborough show, Morning Joe?
Yeah, I did it one time during my book tour in October.
How did they treat you?
Well, I mean, I have a good relationship with Joe. It goes back a long time. I don't know Mika as well.
I personally like him, and I don't know if I was booking that show that Mika would be there. That's just me personally. But I like Joe, and Joe was a Republican for a long time, till recently.
Yeah. Well, here's what I would say. They treated me fairly. the topic of the du jour that week was Trump is a liar and he's told 9,000 lies. And
it's every week.
Yeah. So what did I think of that?
Morning Joe is a 3-hour Trump bash every day.
Well, you have to remember something, though. This is the thing I would disagree with the president. You know, he went after Mika.
He did.
And he basically said that she was bleeding from her facelift.
You took the words out of my mouth. And that was why they were visiting him at Mar-a-Lago, correct?
Right, exactly. The blood was on the floor of Mar-a-Lago from her facelift.
That's a bad facelift right there.
It's a tough facelift.
Yeah, but you know, we all know that there wasn't any blood on the floor. But the point is, the minute he did that, he turned that entire show
into the Trump match.
100%, a personal vendetta. I would have recommended to him, he probably wouldn't have taken my recommendation, is to invite Mika and Joe into the White House for an interview and put out some guidelines and invite them for an interview, and that would have taken some of the pressure
out of the sting
out of there. Why have a 3-hour now, of course, the president used to call that show Morning Eating Crow. But
I missed that one.
why have like a 3-hour bash like that? You know, I didn't think that was necessary.
Well, that's basically what it is now. I watch it quite often, and it does not seem to change. It's 3 hours, and they don't cover anything else. There's no Afghanistan. There's no Syria, no Turkey. I mean, it's 3 hours of Trump bashing.
Definitely none of that stuff. It's just
is it mainly
what about this whole Stormy Daniels thing?
Oh God.
So that's the one I'll read. The rest of it I'm ignoring. That was the best. That was the best of the worst. Yeah,
you're kidding me.
You do not have an intelligent.
I don't have an intelligent fan base apparently, or at least they will let their minds.
A lot of sarcastic questions. So
well, they know they're not going to get on if they do that shit. So.
Right. I mean, you can read some of the sarcastic questions.
Go ahead, give him a couple of
I'm okay, handle. I mean, the Stormy Daniels thing. You know, Trump probably had a partly cloudy and a mostly sunny in addition to stormy, you know. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, the American people don't care. So I don't know why.
They don't seem to. I
don't know why that's that big of an issue. You know, there's a Surgeon General's warning label on the president. So, you know, if you looked at that Access Hollywood tape, you're not surprised by.
Before we go to the sarcasm, we have seen the bus tape. Answer me this. If any other human being, not only a president, a governor, you've seen what's going on in Virginia with the governors.
A local alderman.
the dog catcher. How did he develop this Teflon finish that nothing sticks? Any other president that had 20 women claim they did something, whether that's true or not, the 20 accusations alone, he's gone. Anybody else? Obama would have been out in a day.
Okay, so I have
if you disagree, let me know.
Well, I have a theory. And
okay.
I can't say that it's legitimate or not, but this is my theory based on my observation that he came in as a 69-year-old flawed reality TV star and business mogul. Everything about him was in the tabloids.
He came with a brand.
Yeah, five children from 3 different wives.
Right.
Lots of sensationalism in his life, bankruptcies, girlfriends, smash mouth, and naughty talking on Howard Stern.
We knew who he was.
Yeah. So, but you have to understand the difference is when you are coming into it as a politician, you're usually brimming with righteousness and sanctimony. And so, as an example, Elizabeth Warren comes across with all this moralisms and righteousness and sanctimony. And so therefore she's held to a way higher standard. If she's lying about her ethnic origin or she's lying on her bar application and saying she's Native American,
right,
held herself out differently than Trump. Trump came into the game. He said, I'm loaded with flaws. I've got 3 wives. I've had several girlfriends. I'm a train wreck, but I think I can fix this problem. So he's a politician, but he's not a politician in the eyes of the people that were voting for him.
Yeah.
Flip side is President Obama, Mitt Romney, George Bush. They're all politicians. You know what I mean? So that's
popped up another kind of sarcastic one. Would Trump eventually get impeached?
Well, that's not sarcastic. It's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question. Who did we lose?
I think that Trump will not get impeached because I think that they're too smart to impeach him. They recognize that they can't win a 70 Senate
No, they're not going to win.
removal of office. So I don't see how the House votes to impeach him, because you tell me what the crimes are going to be, unless there's a picture of him, smoking gun metaphorically with Vladimir Putin. And I'm telling you, there won't be, because the guy doesn't use email. So
No, there's no emails on him.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to find.
Might be the smartest thing he's ever done. The no email thing. My question is that
I don't see him getting impeached. You know what I mean?
My question is, everyone is convinced that this man has got money laundering going on, and that's why all these different, everywhere he's got a hotel at is investigating him right now. If they do determine that money laundering was done, is that enough that the Teflon scratches, or does he even surpass that?
Well, I think he surpasses that, because the New York Times basically said that there was a $400 million tax fraud, and
pretty healthy.
That was a 5-minute conversation.
Go to jail on that. Me or you go to jail.
Yeah, I no question, but I also, now they got to prove that. And by the way, if you look at the stuff they're saying, it may have been on the line, some of it, but it doesn't seem like it was over the line. But look, I mean, who knows? I mean, you got to catch him with a smoking gun.
Which he says even that won't get him. He says he can shoot somebody in the street. I'm not convinced he's not right.
Well, I think we've got evidence of that,
What about the illegal aliens that have came forward that were working at his hotels, saying that they were told we'll fix the paperwork, just keep your mouth shut, everything will be fine? That hasn't seemed to stick hardly at all either.
Well, that's another example that's another reason why Nancy Pelosi is too smart of a person to go for an impeachment, because she's looking at all that. That's not, what will kill Trump is a falling economy. He made a bet on the stock market, on the economy. He's got a rough smash mouth way of talking. And so he's made a bet on the economy. He's got to keep the economy going. And if he's able to do that, then he'll be okay.
Wow.